I definitely want to record this presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I've added some stuff. So if you were at this presentation before, I want to let you know that there are some new materials, some new things out. Some of the numbers have updated. So, and I do have more to share than anything that I had before. I try to do this workshop at least once a year. So you may have been at something similar, but this is all about how to get more testimonials, more reviews. There's easier ways to do it today than there ever was. There's apps, there's AI, there's different ways, but how to do it in the best manner possible. Also, Google's changed some of its criteria to limit people kind of spamming the review system. In other words, you can't get 10 or 20 a day unless you already have 1,000, which means it's a proper percentage. But like a restaurant may have 30 reviews a day. But if you've only got 2 reviews and you get 20 in a day, you run the risk of getting your business kind of shut down, because it will be flagged as you basically are scamming the system if you're trying to put too many reviews. So make sure when you're getting reviews that it's a natural progression of your customer base, not something you're forcing a big uptick in reviews. So just want to let you know, because don't want anything I say here to get your account shut down tomorrow, because now you're going to go after reviews. I always, can everybody see the presentation screen? I'm going to switch it to play mode. Did that go full screen for you? Somebody? So it's a partial screen for me now, so I wanted to make sure you're getting the full screen view. So again, raise your hand or type in the chat a question and let me know. I'm going to have the chat open. So if you have a question, just put it in the chat. I'll try to make sure I can respond to everybody. Plus, that's recorded. So if anybody has a question based on another question, I have record of what I told you. Always helps. So to start with, I always want to say I do all these other workshops, so please join me every month if you want to throw this on your calendar. But just to get started, I always want to say who it's sponsored by, because this is something that's changed a little bit. Obviously, 712 Innovations is no longer with us, so that'll be coming off of things. But I run several businesses, and I'm trying to do more nonprofits, and I actually have a great announcement. I'm giving away my first scholarship this week to a student that's going to Washburn, and that's really exciting. And I've also had intern opportunities this summer. So if you have friends that are in college or friends that are going to college that want an awesome internship opportunity and a scholarship, let them know, contact me. There'll be more information coming about that soon. So I'm excited about that this year. That was one of my passions and goals. But we're going to be talking about reputation management, and particularly getting 5-star reviews. So what I like to do is a little bit of introduction. So I would like to hear from you. I think most of you know each other, but just what I'd like for you to say is what's maybe one question that you're hoping to get covered, and or one thing that you definitely want to know more about during this presentation. So with that, and then we'll just do 20 minutes of the presentation, but I have a lot of other examples to share with you at the end of it. And that's when we can actually look at your business and look at areas that you may be missing opportunities. So that the last part of the presentation is really fun. So with that, if you want to turn on your mic and or say in the chat who you are, your business, and maybe one question that hopefully I'll go over before we're done with the hour. Roger, you want to go first?
Okay, well, I'm Roger Montgomery with Kitchen and Bath Solutions Plus. I'm here with Randy, the GM, and I just hope to, we've got a good reputation. I just hope to spread it more broadly.
Okay, spread the reputation, great. Lori or Lee or Jim, do you want to go next?
Hi, I'm Jimmy Brew. I'm with the Brad Noller Agency, American Family Insurance. We have offices in Topeka and Holton, and above 712 Kansas right now. So full line property, casualty, life, umbrellas, business insurance. Glad to be back.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Jim. Lori, you're still on mute.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Everybody decided they needed to call here.
Of course.
Lori Welch, personally yours. I do personalized candy bars, gifts, and accessories for any occasion.
And what's something you were hoping to learn or get today?
Oh, I don't know. Just kind of listening in, just to kind of always like ways to kind of see how I can improve things on different things. So
I got a lot of ideas for you.
I know you do.
Lee, I don't know if you got your sound on at all, but I'll Lee put in the chat. So, but he's with the Metro Voice, and he already knows everything except for how to connect his camera and mic to his desktop. So I know he's joking. He's always a sponge for learning and growing, and he's a big advocate for other businesses. So, and Randy, I think Roger covered your business, but let me know if you have any questions since you popped in.
Stepped into the other room for a minute. So.
Oh, okay. Well, he may have just popped in so he could pull it up on his screen. But Randy, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I want to make sure that we cover anything. So just getting into it, I think I know everybody on this group. So hopefully you know me enough. And if you spend any time with me in my 20+ years of being an entrepreneur and an advocate of other businesses, I have a whole lot of things that I could probably tell you about myself that you don't already know. But besides the fact I was in corporate for 15 years in 3 different states, and I've been doing websites for 15 years. I also was in the military and drove tanker trailers for 8 years during college to help pay for things. So there's always just something you can learn about people, and I always like to put an extra little tidbit. I should think of one every month that people don't know about me, just to be that unique person. But if most of you know, I'm a pretty tech numbers geeky person as far as when it comes to this stuff. So reputation just really goes in that numbers area to be able to grow. So most of you know that it's hard to connect with customers. It's hard to build trust. It's hard to get your information out on every single platform. There's more coming up every day. And I'm going to tell you more platforms today than you probably even realized. But there's only 4 ways to grow your business. And this helps every single one of those. It helps you acquire customers. It helps build trust to increase spending. It helps you retain those customers because you have that regular relationship, but it's incredibly important to increase referrals to be able to have a good reputation online. But bottom line, technology is always changing. We only have 24 hours in the day, and I'm sure some of you like to sleep and spend it with your families or other people that you enjoy being around if your family isn't as fun. But it really, reputation management is one of the key things to set you apart with your competition. Your competition is always striving to be one better than you. And this is a really easy way that you can reference yourself to your competition. The other thing is it's an incredible marketing tool. And if you do it right, it can be a very low time and low cost marketing tool. It's one of the most important pieces of marketing that you have available to you. So hopefully by the end of this, you will be an advocate of your own reputation, even more so than you already are. Now, one of the great parts about this, and I'll talk about this more at the end, is reputation management really is key once you start having customers. So it's not really the first thing you should think about necessarily when you don't have a customer. You need to worry about the sales and the online presence. But once you start developing customers and start fulfilling those, reputation is something that you need to manage and monitor. So bottom line, we're going to try to talk about how to get 4 or 5-star reviews, not 4-star. I actually talked to a client yesterday that was upset because she's got about 50 reviews online and she's got one that was 2 stars. So she no longer has 5, you know, she had like 40 5-star reviews and then she had one. So she said now it's like 4.9 on the Google scale. And she was pretty upset about it. But honestly, if you have any sort of customers or you have 40 or 50 reviews, it's near impossible to get 100% 5 stars, even if that's your hope. So don't worry about 5 stars as far as hundreds. What we want to get is above 4.8 or 4.9 and hundreds of reviews. Because somebody will have a 4-star just because they never give anybody 5 stars. So don't feel like it's totally about you. But 3 main things about reputation management. So we're going to talk about reviews, but we're also going to talk about managing reputation. And if anybody wants, and I can include a file here in the chat. Actually, I'm going to throw the file in the chat right now. So if you don't already have this document, so this is a summary. I've put in a file in the chat so you can open it. Oh, it's not successfully sent. So it should be in there. But if you need it, just email me or shoot me a note or a message and I'll give you all the notes for this presentation. So don't think I'm trying to hide it or spin through. So if I go through something a little too fast, you can get the cheat sheet from it. But the first part is about building a strong brand image and a strong reputation. The other part is about recovering, because I'm sure all of you have customers that love you and have never said anything bad about anything you've done or have any issues or questions. But there always are people out there that are negative Nellies or that honestly have a bad experience, whether it was your fault, whether there was a logistics issue or other things. But you need to recover from those. And actually, if you're managing your online reputation, it's not as hard as a lot of people think to recover from bad reviews. Maintaining long-term relationships is incredibly important because, again, it builds trust. So there's about 4 or 5 things that it does right. And this is what's involved in it, about 5 things. So building positive awareness. Obviously, the more positive reviews you have, the more positive people think about your company. You want to monitor what's being said. A lot of people don't even know what is being said about them online, whether it's in the comments, whether it's other things. And there's a lot of tools out there that will actually monitor everything that's being said online about your company. Anytime your company is mentioned on any platform, you can see, hear, and also respond to it, because there is so many platforms out there that have the potential to have a negative review for your business, even if you don't get on it and make any effort to it. There's a lot of those types of places.
Can you give us 2 examples of what some of those monitoring sites are?
Actually, yes. Yeah, I'll have a couple examples after that 10 o'clock. So the next slide actually has examples of all the sites that you really are kind of the key sites you should be on in the order of visibility. So we always want to encourage positive reviews, and that really has to do with publishing great content, and that content also is about your profiles on those different listing sites. The more information you have on there, the more likely you're going to have people give you reviews on there because they can find you. A lot of times people don't do reviews for 2 reasons. One, people are inherently lazy. If it takes an extra, 10 seconds and there's no advantage for them, then they won't do it. I've seen a lot of people say, you get 5% off. I know Findables did this, which they're closing now, but you get 5% off if you like their Facebook page. And I've seen some things, you kind of always see those signs in the yard for roofers. A lot of times they'll give discounts if they allow their sign to be in your yard. A lot of places. So it's not a bad thing. Now, it's somewhat frowned upon if you're doing it on a continuous or business strategy basis, but it is not a bad thing to give a client or a customer some sort of benefit for spending 10 seconds to give you a good review. But obviously these should be natural and organic based on doing good service. But it does require ongoing maintenance. It's not a one and done unless you're closing down your business. And I've seen businesses that are closing down that they start getting very negative reviews on there. And if you're closing down, you still have a great asset you can sell as long as the business name isn't tarnished. So just some of these key elements that I want to talk through. So I'll talk about some of these reputation managers that can monitor you to your site. It's incredibly important to be able to see these. And as you can see, there's a lot of different sites out there that you could have reviews on. Of course, like Wedding Wire, if you do any vacation by owner, these are kind of the big ones. Of course, Google Maps, I'm gonna go through a couple examples of that at the end. Google Maps and Yelp and Facebook are probably the biggest things for most industries. But of course, if you're a realtor, it's incredibly important to have good reviews on Zillow and some of those other platforms. So depending on your industry, of course, like if you're a doctor or an MD, they have their own rating platform. Wedding Wire has its own rating platform. So depending on what industry you're in, there's a couple platforms that are industry specific. But for most businesses, Google and Facebook and Yelp are kind of the ones that have the most significant traffic. So it's important to be on those first. Again, that's about establishing your reputation, but then encourage people to go to those and click and give a review. So 70% of people will respond if they have a great experience and you really encourage them to give a review. But an unsatisfied customer will actually come back to you if you manage and solve the issue they have. So if somebody posts a negative review and you respond well to them, they actually will continue to be a customer. Now, that doesn't mean their negative review will come down, but if you think about reviews and messaging, when people leave a bad review, I actually do that a lot with Amazon and some of those others. I actually look at the 1-star reviews to see what was so bad that they gave them a 1-star review. I actually look at the 1-star almost more than the 5-star, even if, it's the percentage is different. Because one of the things, especially on Google, is those 1-star reviews or 2-star reviews. When you read a negative review, it's really important to read if the company responded. And the great part about that is people remember the last thing they read more than the first thing they read. So if there's a negative review and the company responded positively, the last thought and or feeling that person has when they're reading that negative review is about the positive response. So you can actually make your company look even better, because everybody knows there's people out there that just like to complain about things. And so based on your response, they're going to have a more positive feeling than being left with just the negative review. So always respond to negative reviews. And honestly, it's great to respond to positive reviews. If somebody gives you a positive review, thank them and actually tell them maybe specifically why you liked working with them. Because two things is it creates more content, and it's just another way for you to show your customer service. So whether you get good or bad reviews, it's always good to comment on them. And that's a huge thing to be able to maintain and get return customers. But if you have a reputation management tool, it saves you an incredible amount of time and you can respond quicker, because clicking and going into each one of these platforms on any kind of regular basis is very time consuming and exhausting. So again, I'll go through some of those with you. So why should it be a priority? Right here is some of the numbers, and these numbers have actually increased over time because people are paying more and more attention to the reviews online. Because honestly, if like a clothing website doesn't have any reviews on a shirt, it probably means they have no sales on that shirt. And if they have no sales on that shirt, I don't trust that it has any kind of quality. Because people expect volumes and they expect at least somebody to say something about it. And if they have had sales and no reviews, it kind of speaks to the company's follow-up or follow-through. So it's important to have reviews because it makes you look more credible in every regard. It makes it look like your products and services are more credible. So 90% of customers will look at reviews if they're available before purchasing anything from anyone. And they will make business decisions or purchasing decisions based on those reviews. If you're a local business, it's even more important than national businesses because they're comparing you to somebody else they already may know. They're comparing you to their cousin that might be able to do what you can do. And, you know, they know their cousin, but they don't know you. But one of the best parts is 84% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal friend or recommendation for two reasons. One, it's usually a little more descriptive and they don't have to talk to or ask their friend or ask their mother about, you know, recommendations. But honestly, typically people don't have motives to give good or bad reviews. Most of the time when you have a bad review, it's because they had a bad experience. People are more likely to leave bad reviews, so it's really important to encourage positive reviews. Because when people have a good experience, sometimes they just expect it and they don't go back and give you the credit for it. But this is incredibly important because most customers are looking for that trust factor, and reputation and reviews give that trust factor. So again, there's other tools out there to, besides monitoring your reputation, to help you get testimonials. I don't know if you've seen those emails where it says, you know, did you have a positive experience? Thumbs up, thumbs down. And if you click on, there's a trick where if you click on the thumbs up, it'll ask you to give them a review. If you click on the thumbs down, it will send you to a form asking, you know, what can we do to improve the services? So that in and of itself right there is filtering people to encourage positive reviews and to not encourage people with bad experiences to give them a review, because they want to sidestep those individuals and be able to address their problem before the review happens. And then of course, if they have a great experience with the issue and solving the issue, then they'll say, you know, give us some feedback on your experience with how we solved your issue. And they're fishing for a positive review. So again, the biggest part about this is 84 to 90% of people are looking at reviews and are using them to make every purchase decision that they have out there. The other thing, and again, in the order of importance, 60% almost, a little less, of Google is the place that they're looking for reviews. So if you don't have a Google My Business page and you're not regularly, actively getting reviews on that page, you are missing 60% of people's eyeballs as far as establishing that trust. So definitely, if you're going to work on any of these, the Google is actually more important than the Facebook or Yelp. So just in order of importance, if you only have energy to work in one area, focus on Google, because that's the majority of where people are finding their reviews. So again, if you are having some sort of, you can do it automated, you can have it filtered. There's plenty of systems out there. I've got a few that we can talk about, but bottom line, the more more reviews you have, the more customers will come to you, because it also helps increase traffic to your website. More people will look at your business if you have more reviews. So again, in the scope of things, I'm not going to read through all these, but it can increase every aspect of your business. Again, trust, loyalty, satisfaction, and increase the interaction. Because as we know, we're busy and sometimes it's hard to have regular interaction with your customers. So before I get into questions and get into some specifics, again, I want to reiterate, if you are still in the beginning stages of business, you need to establish those platforms. If you don't have platforms on all those areas that you can get reviews, make sure your website's really robust, because they will be going to your website the minute they see your reviews. And make sure, again, that email marketing or some sort of tools to help you out with this can basically reduce 90% of your time and effort to be able to get those reviews. So until you have those things established, this should not be your first priority. But if you have an established business with a solid website and processes and systems to make your life a little bit more efficient, this is really where you need to concentrate on, because it is the multiplier of a good solid business. So again, I actually have, if you go to the Kansas Business Solutions free download page, I have the checklist for this, but also there's some videos with content of similar to this as far as what specific reputation goes. So that's all I have for the PowerPoint. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can talk as a group. And then I was going to share my screen and talk through some other things. Does anybody have any specific questions before I give some examples of where and what, and some really quick tips? Because there's a way for you to make your reviews be one of the first things people look at on your Facebook page. Some people don't even have it as an option for people to be able to scroll and see it very quickly. So I wanted to give you that before we leave too. So besides all the options that are out there, I'm going to open it up for questions real quick. Let me pull up the chat again to see if there's any specific questions before, or give me a thumbs up if you're ready to see some examples. Okay, we'll get right into the examples. Let me see here. Oh, here, I gotta. Okay, share the screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so first things first. If you, can you see this Google Map screen? Somebody thumbs up or nod. Just, you can't see the Google Map screen? Okay, here. Apparently I have to click share. Appreciate it. All right. Like I said, I've gone on some of these webinars and started talking about a screen that nobody else could see, and I do not want that to happen. Okay, so if you're looking up a dentist in your local area, one of the best parts about Google is it's always location based. Unless you open up Google incognito, it's always going to be location based. So it's a little deceiving when people think they're the top of the search engines, because if you're searching from your location, it's always going to have some of the first businesses in that location. So if you're searching in zip code 66612 or 03, you're actually going to come up higher if that's your business zip code than if you're in any other zip code in the same local area. So I just want you to not be deceived as far as your ranking and or your status as far as order Because I've had people say, well, I come up first. And I'm like, if you're at your business, you should, because it's location based. Do it from your home. Ask your friends and family to look it up and see where it shows up on their screen.
Real quick, Pam, we did this yesterday in our team meeting, and we were talking about it. And one of the gals in our Holton office, you know, it was kind of like, hey, this is something we talked about 6-7 months ago, and we kind of just, you know, been lax on doing it or asking for the referral. And she goes, oh, if you search it right up here, she goes, we're always the first insurance agent that pops up. And now we know why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I saw you smile, so I knew you had a recent story or experience from it. And so I just want to make sure people aren't deceiving themselves as far as their organic ranking. But it is a really good thing, because that means people that live near you, people that work near you, you will come up first. Because honestly, even like financial advisors, people don't want to drive 30 minutes, even if it's about like got one more star review. They want to find somebody that, you know, is probably within 5-10 minutes of them in most industries. If they're looking to work with a local person, they're looking for something that's close by. So again, yours is going to look different than mine if you just pull up dentist, because it's doing it based on my location. So I'm over on the west side of Topeka, so it's going to bring up more on the west side of Topeka. Now I can always scroll down and say show more, but for the most part, if you live on the east side of Topeka, it'll show businesses closer to that location. And it's just based on, you know, Google does research and asks people what they want to see. So I'll tell you the quickest way to get on top of this in these areas is you pay for it. I kind of joke is there's only 2 ways to get to the top of Google. You pay for it or you work for it. So the quickest way is to pay for it. The long-term strategy and the more affordable strategy, depending on if you have people working for you or you're paying for it, is this ad space. So what I always say is this spot is worth thousands of dollars, because these people are paying possibly, you know, $40 or $50 a click, depending on the industry. It can be incredibly expensive to run ads to, especially a medical field or a lawyer or even insurance is quite expensive in that degree. Home improvements, a little less. I'm sure, Lori, in your category, it's even less per click. And it's mainly because of the volume of competition you have. But a dentist, there is a lot in town, so there's a lot of competition. So these spots are coveted and they actually cost quite a bit of money. But they will get more clients just because they're at the top. And again, humans are very short with time, and sometimes they're not going to scroll down. There's actually a word in marketing that's called the 3-pack. So in other words, you want to be one of the top 3 people, because on average, even if you're on a desktop or mobile device, you'll see the top 3 when you open it up. And so there's a word, again, a coined phrase, that you want to be in that 3-pack, because statistically, these people will get 90% of the clicks. Once you get below 3 in most search engines, you're getting less than 10% of the clicks, and anybody on a page 2 or that somebody has to click in the scroll more will get even less. So in marketing, the click or requiring people to click to find your business costs you extremes amount of money. But I will say, like, even though this Matthew is at the top, I think more people would go to this Michael, and how because it's got 248 near 5-star reviews. So one of the things I kind of like about this is you can study what they're doing and how they're interacting with their customers. I would have a feeling that they probably ask every customer after every visit, you know, have you gave us a review? We'd love to get a review from you. They are pretty advocate of their own reviews. Whereas this family dentistry, either it's just started or it doesn't have a very good review process, because one, they're paying for it and there is no reviews on it. This person's only got 4 reviews. So again, if they don't have a whole lot of reviews, either they're a newer business and or they're just really not reaching out to their customers. So if you have somebody in your industry, and it doesn't even have to be in Topeka, it could be in Kansas City, just so that you're not doing it with some local competition, it wouldn't be bad to check out their website, get on their email list, and maybe even stop in and kind of see what they're doing as far as how they're talking to their customers. They may even have like a postcard or a flyer at the bottom saying, you know, give us a review on the site and you get a coin. Or I know at a dentist, my kids get coins every time they go to the dentist, and they can turn in, you know, 5 coins for a Frisbee or 10 coins for a movie ticket or something like that. So they're probably doing something to encourage positive reviews, and it's really good to just keep an eye on what they're doing, so that you can model that if it's a best practice.
Quick
Jim, did you have a
question.
question?
Yeah, so it's Mitchell Dental, and it's actually who's
sorry.
been my dentist for a while. But so how come at the top where they're listed under ad, there's different numbers, a 4.9 star and 60 review, but as you go down, because that one at top, that's the one for their Silver Lake location, I bet.
Yeah, and it is interesting because you get different reviews at different locations because you have different staff at different locations. So like
I tried my hardest to bring that 5-star down on them, so apparently didn't do too well.
No, well, and again, you will, if you've been in business for a while, you will get some reviews that aren't 5 stars. You cannot get 100+ 5-star reviews unless you're manipulating the system, or because just everybody out of 100 people, there's one person that's just not happy with anything.
And one thing that they do, they used to do the phone call prior to your appointment, you know, about 2 days before, give you notice. And now I notice they do a lot of text messaging. They do it with email. If you open the email, they know you've opened the email. So whether that's that contact at one, so they are embracing a lot of the digital technology. I don't get the phone call anymore. But if I open it up, you know, I'm going to get some information, a follow-up email, and then you got the text message, you know, and it says respond here and there. So they have done that quite a bit. And then after your visit, they send out an email survey.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
And a lot of times on those email surveys, it will have the option and opportunity for people to review their site.
Okay.
And so again, I'm going to give you a couple.
So if it's positive, they'll link them over to one of those others.
Yep. And or they will give the option as far as once you submit the survey, because they'll use that for their site and for their feedback. But if it's a positive one, they may take you to another page saying, we'd love for you to give us a review on Facebook or Google if you have the time. So, you know, it's always good to, again, kind of see what they're doing, because anybody who's got this many reviews probably has some pretty good best practices established. It's just, again, restaurants, those places that have a lot of clients and customers come through on a daily basis, it's incredibly important because you know how easy it is to get a bad review at a restaurant. So they have to do a lot to encourage positive reviews. I did want to pull up a couple things on Yelp. I did want to bring this up as far as Yelp. Again, it's probably one of the second search engines as far as map, not necessarily there. But if you pull up the same customers, the same businesses, again, if there's a sponsored, they'll always show up the top. So this Aspen is actually paying to be at the top of Yelp, but not on Google, which is interesting because everybody's kind of got their pick category. But again, no reviews on that. So one of the interesting things is it's got its own review process. I've seen places have 100 5-star reviews on one site and 3 negative reviews on another. So obviously they're kind of pushing one site and they're completely neglecting their reputation management on other platforms. So again, if you have a lot of customers, a lot of clients, people get to pick where they're going to review you. And so if you're not paying attention, you actually could be turning off anybody that actually uses another search engine to find your place. So again, the biggest importance is to have more reviews than your competition on that location. It's not necessarily, so if people have 100 on Google, that doesn't mean you got to try to get 100 on Yelp too.
Is there a management service on there, Pam, that, because I think most of them go by your IP address when you log in or when you go to that site. But can I take reviews from, say, like Google, and can I copy and paste those and put them on another third-party site or another site? Because it's their actual testimonial. It's not me doing it. I'm just placing it there.
Yeah,
Is that possible?
No, they have filters for that. So you can't place multiple reviews. So it has to be your
Okay.
login, and you can only do one review.
Okay.
So
So
like
I can't just go all over the
Google,
country and copy and paste and put
no,
like.
you
Okay.
can't. Now,
That's cool.
there's plenty of scams and filters, and actually it's illegal to pay somebody for a review. So there are sites that pop up and go away that says they'll get you reviews. But technically, if they're going in and putting in those reviews, that's unethical. And again, we all know there's businesses that practice unethical type of behavior. But again, it can get you flagged if you've got 2 reviews and one day you get 20. You actually are running the risk of getting your business taken off, because Google does not want businesses that do scam type promotions. So they are there to make sure that these are as accurate as possible. They also filter. This is something I just found out the other day, is Google, if somebody puts a review out there with a lot of bad language, anything that is flagged or would be highly political, or so there's keywords and scanners and robots for any negative reviews. So positive reviews typically don't get scanned, but if it's like a 1 to 3 star review, it does go through their filtering process. So, and it doesn't just remove the poor language, or it will flag the review and it will never be seen. So typically these platforms are actually there to be your best advocate for you to get good reviews. So that's a good thing. They do have filters and AI and actually people that, if it's a negative review, especially where you were talking about your IP address and watching those. So if there's an individual that's doing bad ratings on everybody's site or a lot of sites, Google can flag them and make that so that they can't do that. So it won't let any of their negative reviews, because they review a lot. The other thing is, I don't know if you've seen this, this is interesting, is you can tell how many reviews that person has posted. So like I actually, if you go into this one, if you click on the reviews to see those 4 reviews, it will actually say this Jared person has reviewed 3 businesses. And this person has reviewed 10. And this person has reviewed. So you actually can see the review activity of the people reviewing. So, and sometimes people that do a lot of reviews are those negative nillies that complain about everything. Whereas people that do 5-star reviews typically don't review a lot of places. They're somewhat particular. So it's interesting, again, if people give negative reviews, that they've done a lot of reviews. And I have a feeling that they may have more negative than positive, because just based on this. But the interesting part about this is, if this person is monitoring their reputation, they can actually respond to this review and say, you know, please contact us, or we're sorry about your experience. We'd like to talk to you specifically farther. That's actually kind of the best language, is don't necessarily engage or explain yourself through here, is offer your help to remedy the situation. But again, if somebody sees a response, they're going to read that response last, and they'll remember the tone and the response more than the other thing. But I did want to let you know that the reviews on different sites are separate, and no, you can't copy reviews from one site to another. They have to be specific, individual. And so like this person, if I go in to review them, so let's say write a review, there are review guidelines. So I can write whatever I want, but it saves my information on their site. So I can't go in and review him and then put more reviews in for him. Same for Google. I could write a review on here and it posts my name. I don't have to say that, but they actually, it's one of their policies as far as you have to show your name if you're reviewing them. And again, that's their way to keep people from not giving negative reviews anonymously. So there are some really good things on there. So I did want to tell you on Facebook, as far as Facebook reviews, there is a review button on here, but it's not on everybody's. You can turn it on or off. So how to get that on there, I'll just kind of go through this post because it's the easiest. So I'm assuming everybody here has a Facebook page or is putting one together. On your Facebook page, does it have this button on there or this? So let me, so like Metro Voice News, Lee, you probably have a separate one just for Topeka, right? I'm not seeing it here. Yeah, right here, Topeka. So you have a separate one but you see how your reviews are down here? You can move them up higher. In some areas, you don't actually have reviews on here. So you definitely want to expand that as much as possible, but obviously you can respond to any of these reviews, and I didn't know if you have. So sorry to use your example. I also had myself as an example with some of my reviews. Again, I'll go back. But again, if somebody gives you a great review, you can sit here and respond to that review in that same thread. And again, the more content you have on your site, the more you'll come up in some of these searches. So, you know, if you type in Kansas, it's going to bring up the ones you've clicked on before anything else. So obviously I clicked on my own more, so it comes up, but you may not come up in any of these if you don't have a lot of content on your page. So that's one thing. But if you want that reviews up higher on your Facebook page, it's really easy. You can go to settings, and then there's within the settings, there's templates and tabs. And so hopefully you have a template that's a business template, but you can make yours more of a cafe. You can change the template on your Facebook page if you didn't know you can. So my Facebook page could look different than your Facebook page based on your template. But when you do that, you can click on reviews. So sometimes you don't have that tab. So there's an add tab button, and you can add that tab. And then you can actually grab that tab and move it up. So that way it shows up on top. So just to reiterate, there's a couple, there's a lot out there, and I'm not promoting any, and there's one that I'm looking at doing also, but there's a business one that is a little bit about the reputation management. And then of course there's other things to it. But if you go inside theirs, the reputation manager can show you your reviews, and this has to do with connections. But to get reviews, you can add in your customers. And the nice thing about some of these, if you connect it to your other services, so there's some integrations. If anybody's heard, I use an integration tool called Zapier. And it can automatically send text messages to people after a positive email or an invoice. So like you can say, if they click on that thumbs up, or if they give you a positive review on your website, you can send them a text or a separate email that says, you know, we really liked working with you. We'd love it if you gave us a review. The great part is if you're just getting this started, you can upload specific customers. So I'm just going to throw in myself. You can select to get like a text or email or both if you have their phone number, but then you can schedule it. So you could do it so that not everybody's getting, so again, like I said, you could get flagged on Google if you have, you know, 20 reviews in one day. But say, you know, you're Jim, say, you know, you have a client meeting on Tuesday next week. You could have them get a text or an email at 5 p.m. that afternoon saying, I really appreciate meeting with you. I hope you had a great experience. If you did, I'd love for a review. So you could actually pre-schedule that for the week or the month, and or, you know, do 5 a day or something like that. But it's something you could set up without actually having to interact directly if you have systems in place for it. So this has one of those reputation managers in that. And one of the interesting things about it is you can connect on any of these networks if you have a profile on them. Right now, I just have Yelp and Facebook on here, but you can look at all posts or all emotions, and it pulls these up based on the words that you're seeing in here. So I'm gonna, hopefully I don't have any of these unhappy ones. Oh, this is a post that I actually did. And actually Facebook ranks these as negative words. This is words, I don't remember if I told you when we were talking about social media, certain words you should avoid if they're negative, because Facebook views them as negative. So if you write a post that says the biggest mistakes, Facebook flags this word as a negative post. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means sometimes Facebook won't share it. And will kind of restrict the visibility of it because Facebook doesn't like it. So you can also pull out, you know, happy post and see, most of these are all things I've posted, but you can see what's being said with your name. So most of these are all mine, but if somebody else contacted you on your page, you can do it. But you can just look at, you know, this last month, what's being said on all those platforms. Again, I only have these hooked up, but again, it's a way to monitor a lot of platforms without having to open up and click every single one. Especially, like I said, you can just look at what's being said about you this month. Some of it will be yours, some of it will be nice. I think that happiness meter is kind of fun. But that's again, it's one of those platforms where you can look at reputation. There's a lot of them.
And that's a free trial that you're doing, or do you actually have a subscription?
Yeah, no, this is a free trial. I can send you the link to the free trial of it, but I actually have a system similar to this that I'm playing around with, I can send you a free trial link.
I wrote down the website, moprotrial.com, it looked like.
Yeah, well, and this, they service over 1,000 places, but again, right now, Google changed their service, so it's not connecting to Google. And if that's 60%, I actually just emailed them this morning because it won't connect to my Google reviews. And if that's 60% of my audience are going to be using Google reviews, I don't even want to mess with it because that's really what I care about. So if Google's flagged where they can't monitor and or they can't send direct, it does affect it. But again, if you have these integrations, so you can embed something on your website where you can actually show reviews on your website from Google rather than copy and paste them. But again, that Zapier tool can automatically send those emails from you. And you don't have to have these services to be able to use some of this AI. I do want to say, I just put a page on my website that is an example of something you could send people to. But if you have those forms embedded, and of course I just created this as an example, so hopefully it actually comes up. But, you know, so if somebody gave a positive review on the site, I could have this be my testimonial page, and where if I click on this, this goes to the Facebook reviews. Click on this, this goes to Google reviews, or this goes to my Yelp profile. So if somebody is willing to, you know, review on Google, I could either send them this link directly, or I could send them, and this goes directly to my Google profile. Or it's supposed to. We'll see. I have 3 teenagers in the house, so sometimes my connection has interesting lags if they're streaming something. Didn't. Okay, so again, just put that together as an example this morning. But if you, it's always good when I have an example that doesn't quite work out when I pull it up. But like a review on Yelp, it would come to this. So I don't have any reviews on Yelp yet because I haven't really concentrated on that. But if you want a review on Facebook, one thing I don't like about Facebook is when you go to Facebook, if you're on a desktop, typically you're pre-logged in. If you're on a mobile device, typically you have to open the app. So most people, again, that can restrict getting reviews on Facebook if somebody gets a link through an email. And, you know, right now we're using these devices 60 or 90% of the time. So if they can't click and do the review on the device, the likelihood they'll go back in and click through Facebook. So if you're going to do Facebook reviews, it's almost better to do it through Facebook Messenger as far as a request for a review, because that way they're already on that platform.
What do they do? Like, well, I know even like on accepting this invitation or registering for it the other day, after you did that, it's like, hey, share this event with your friends on Facebook or Twitter. And then when I clicked on Facebook, it takes you to the login page. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Yeah. So then if I log in from that other through that link, what does that do for them? And what does that do to the person logging in?
Okay. If you're, so like what you were saying, you got a email or a pop-up, because I did the same thing.
Tobias Harvey, he's like, hey, thanks for registering. Tell your friends about it. And it had the 3 different sites.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them were going to require me to log in.
Yeah. Yeah. And you probably didn't, did you?
No.
Yeah.
Because where's that information going? How's that being used, or can it be manipulated?
Yeah. Yeah. No. And honestly, that's why I say every time you make somebody click, it costs you money. Because people don't want to spend more time than they need to, and it starts developing distrust. So I'm not a big advocate of asking people to share things, but it is, you know, in a lot of business, I mean, SCORE is a nonprofit, so people in general trust when they're getting emails and things through them, but sometimes businesses people are naturally skeptical of, and they don't want to sign into platforms that they don't already have accounts with. And that's why I say, when you're looking at all of the different options out there, if you stick with Facebook and Google and Yelp or something that's been around for a while, you're more likely to get reviews than if you ask them to share with like, you know, marketplace.com or something.net or something other things. I mean, you don't want to ask people to review it at 10 different sites. So my advice is pick one and kind of focus on that, but don't neglect what may be being said about you on the others. So we've been on for about an hour. I just want to open up for questions or something specific, but I hope you've got at least one nugget of value or had at least one aha or something that you can take away from this. Did I accomplish that one thing that you learned?
You did. And question and scenario. So like I said, this came up yesterday morning, and you know, we were kind of gung-ho about it 6 months ago, and then it just kind of tapered off, and especially with nobody coming into the office, we were kind of asking people when they would come in and make a payment or something like that. Hey, if you get a chance, do you look at these reviews, or do you go on Google, and would you be able to do that? So me thinking I'm going to set the example, I just sent off a text to some of the clients that I'd helped in June and July. Thank you for allowing us to help you. It was, anyway. And then I said, if you could do me a favor, take a minute and go do this. Well, I didn't preface it with, if you had a positive experience, please go and leave me a review.
Yeah.
We value you as a customer, and I'd like to ask a favor. Would you please go to Google, search for Brad Noller Agency, and leave a review? Quick and easy. It's a quick and easy way to share your experience with others. And then one of the guys, he's a painter, he's a friend of mine, and I go and look last night, and he gave us 4 stars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so should I preface that, or maybe like, hey, did you have a positive experience with us? Anything that we can do better? Should I send one out first as a feeler? And then if they say everything was great, then should I follow up with another one that says, if you could please share that positive experience, go to such and such a website?
Yeah, I actually think it's good. And I actually have a great example. You guys are still looking at my screen, right?
Yes.
Made Pro has a great thing as far as, rate your experience. So every time they have a service, they send out this rate your service every time, even if they're coming, once a year or once a week or whatever. So when they say rate your experience, that's their filter. And actually they have a great platform, because when you click on it, all your information's already in there. But their first thing is, I was thrilled. And it's just a yes, no. Because thrilled is a very positive word, and you're not going to say thrilled if you're going to do 4 stars. So then they go down as far as, would you recommend it to a friend? Which again, thrilled and recommend, people are pretty selective with that stuff. People definitely don't want to recommend something that they didn't have an excellent experience. We're in a society where we expect excellence. And we really don't accept less than that. So then that gives them an opportunity to get some likelihood. So, if you click yes and 10, those are people that you could filter and say, hey, we'd love for you to give us a review on, Google or Yelp or or here's a coupon, because obviously you had a great experience. So those are people you could follow up with additional positives. And then you've already got a filter, because if somebody says no or does 3, 1, it gives them an opportunity to vent, which people love to complain if they didn't have a good experience. I mean, if they don't have a good experience, they want to tell you about it. And honestly, it's a good company to be able to give them that opportunity. Because sometimes when people get that out of their system, they'll tell you and not tell their neighbor and friend and family and because now they've vented to the person that actually could do something about it. So honestly, most people, if they have a bad experience, they really want to tell you about it. And if they don't have that opportunity, they will tell everybody else. I think there's a statistic that for any bad experience, they've talked to at least 5 people about bad experience. But for any good experience, the likelihood they'll actually tell 1 or 2 people is low. So bad experience gets shared more often, but I will say, if people have the opportunity to vent to the right person, they will. And so, especially like I said, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have an email like this go out. If you have a meeting at 4 o'clock with somebody, have that email go out to them at 5 or 6 that afternoon saying, I hope I did a great thing for you. So I definitely think having a filter is a good first step, especially if you're not 100% sure. But getting a 4-star isn't a bad thing. Some people, like I said, some people just don't give 5 stars. It's just like everybody's got that teacher in college that never gives you an A. Or, they just don't do A's. They just don't think anybody in their class deserves an excellent rating. So, there's people like that, and sometimes you can't take them personally. And as well as anybody, the longer you're in business, the more of those people you'll come across. But is there any other questions specific to your business, or did I cover everything and you guys are very clear on it?
I think the important thing again is just to have something in place, you know, or be willing to ask and interact and have that come, you know, in the conversation. Even when I sold cars for 10 years, that was a big thing too. You know, like, hey, have you been pleased with the service that I've offered you today? Or, you know, it's just anyway. So that kind of set things up. But with the way that people use the internet to do their business, even before they leave the house, they're going to read those reviews.
Yeah.
So I know it is important to have that out there.
Yeah. No, and it's not a terrible
Positive
thing.
reviews.
It's not a terrible thing to give a little incentive to say, you know, I give, you know, you don't necessarily want it to be a monetary thing, but you definitely can have, you know, an appreciation banquet for anybody that's got a review, or, you know, I mean, you can do fun things. So make it fun. Don't make it monetary. Don't make anybody ever feel obligated to it. But you know, it's a good thing, and it's available. And again, Google is on your side. They actually, again, they filter out those negative reviews. And again, if you looked at this when I did the write a review, it lets me write a review, but it wants me to log in because it wants to verify that I'm a real person, and it wants to track my activity so that it knows whether to flag. Again, with the Google, if somebody writes 100 bad reviews, Google will not post them because that person is just having a bad day. And they just, they won't let them take it out on multiple business. But if somebody's only doing one and they have a bad experience, Google will post it. But they don't allow a lot of profanity or explicit words in reviews. So they will flag those, which is good for you as a business. So if you have any questions, you guys are welcome to email me, message me, and get some more information. I did put that reputation link in the chat, but if you didn't get it or you didn't get it downloaded, you can pull it up. So let me stop sharing my screen, and I will find that specific page as far as free downloads. So that I can put the download in the chat. So hopefully you can click on it because it's just a Word document and get it right away, but I'll give you the link to where you can get it emailed to you too. But you guys know me, you can always call, text, or have more questions. And again, next month, we're going to be talking about automating your business so you can save yourself 50 hours a month. And who doesn't want to do that? Let's see. Oh, I see what. Okay, so the title of this isn't the right one, but here. I think I'm in the chat. There. So this link will take you directly to the link where you can put in your email and it'll email you, Lee. So hopefully that helps. And it was good to see you. Can't wait till I can see you in person at some lunch or some event here soon. Bye.